those without wives, let them find wives, Heavenly Father. For those without husbands, let them find husbands, and let them be blessed with kids that are righteous, Heavenly Father. Heavenly Father, continue to put your blessings upon us from our head to our feet, and make us still a mighty nation upon this earth. Have you always chosen us, Heavenly Father? Heavenly Father, we'd like to say, please forgive us for our sins, known and unknown, and bless every school out there who's putting your work, Heavenly Father, and keeping your laws and commandments. Bless all the Israelites spread it out and scattered through the four corners of the earth, Heavenly Father. Heavenly Father, we'd like to say thank you for the food and the drinks that we receive, Heavenly Father. Also, Heavenly Father, continue to put your heavenly hands amongst us, guide us, lead us, direct us, and continue to keep us on your path, Heavenly Father. And continue, Heavenly Father, to let us speak unspeakable oracles amongst the nation, but to our people, so that they may wake up, and the 1/3 to be woke, so that we may get out of this captivity, Heavenly Father. Deliver us from the hands of our enemies, Heavenly Father. Destroy our enemies, and let us rise amongst them and put us back into our rightfully place, Heavenly Father. For we're low at the moment, but we know that when Christ returns, and if we keep your laws and commandments, we'll be back in a high position. Heavenly Father, we're grateful for everything you have done for us, and we're glad to be serving the Almighty, Most High, the nation of Israel, and your Son, Christ. Heavenly Father, we just want to say thank you for everything you have done for us, the good and the bad. Continue to let us grow in wisdom and knowledge, and continue to stay in the faith. This is your children coming to pray to you in your Son, Christ's name. Amen. Amen.
All right. All righty. And we coming together to close out the feast. It just so happens to be in the midst of captivity, so you know how that goes. But nonetheless, it's a glorious occasion, so a glorious convocation. And I want to touch back at a point in the prayer when he said, "We're glad to see you." You know, when he got to the part about being glad about the convocation or about the feast day, right? I want to go back to that because remember, at some point in time in our history, with our people, and you can see it today in our people now, we were not happy necessarily about keeping the feast days. As a fact, if you think about it, we went into slavery. Well, one of the reasons we went into slavery is because we wasn't happy to celebrate the Most High feast days and to serve Him for the abundance of all things. Precepts, anybody? Anybody know what I'm talking about? I need you to tell me where we going. Let's get it. Start at 47.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things.
Right, so because we didn't serve the Most High with gladfulness and joy and abundance of heart for all things, what happened?
Therefore, shalt thou serve thy enemies.
So the Most High said, because you didn't serve me with joy, with gladness, you wasn't appreciative for all things. Okay, since you ain't happy doing it for me, serve your enemies. Come on.
Which the Lord shall send against.
Who sent them against us?
The Lord.
Come on.
And hunger, and in thirst, and in naked, and in want of all things.
And in the want of all things, just to make it by. You have to go right now. We had to basically cut out we didn't even get to do the whole 7 days straight celebration because we had to cut it short to go back to slavery, to serve the enemy for the abundance of all things, so we can be able to pay rent, lights, grocery, all that type of stuff. We serving the enemies. Why? Because when we had a chance just to serve the Most High, we weren't appreciative of it. We weren't happy about it. It was a grievous thing. We are supposed to be happy about it. Remember, go to I think it's 3 John, verse 4. Happy should we be to know that the things that please the Most High are made known to us, right? Watch this. Go to 3 John, verse 4.
3 John, verse 4. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth.
Right. You want to know how you make the Most High, give the Most High the most joy? So I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in the truth. Now, what is the truth, Ari? Okay, what scripture though? Or have we touched that yet? Okay, I'm sorry. Salaki. Salaki. I'm sorry. Forgive me those songs. Yeah, bad. Psalms 119, verse 142. Psalms 119, verse 142. Yeah, forgive me. Salaki, I'm sorry, Ari. I'm sorry.
Psalms chapter 119 and verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness.
Come on.
And thy law is the truth.
And thy law is the truth. So he said, I have no greater, well, the scripture said that Most High told us he has no greater joy than to hear that his children walk in the truth, meaning his children walk in his laws. Now, who is the laws given to? Anybody else?
No.
No. Right? How do we prove that? Still in Psalms somewhere. Mm-hmm. Right, let's get it.
I'm thinking about that.
Psalm chapter 147 and verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgment unto Israel.
Right.
He hath not dealt so with any nation.
He have not dealt so with any nation.
And that's,
Come on.
and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord.
Praise ye the Lord. So the Most High said, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in the truth, meaning they keep the laws. Now, the laws was only given to Israel. So how should we be then? Baruch 4 and 4. I just want to touch, I'm still dealing with the part of being happy about it. You know what I'm saying? Baruch 4 and 4.
Baruch chapter 4 and verse 4. Baruch chapter 4 and verse 4. O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to God are made known unto us.
Happy are we for the things that are made known, the things that are pleasing to God were only made known to us. How do we know that? Because we just read he only showed his laws and statutes to Jacob. And he ain't dealt so with any other nation. So happy should we be because we are the only ones know what it takes to please the Most High God. All right. Read 5.
Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel.
The memorial of Israel. All right. So be of good cheer. So we should be happy to keep the Most High's commandments. And unfortunately, a lot of our people hate God's commandments. They hate God's laws. But you know, it's all good. It's all good. Most High will kill them surely soon enough if they don't repent. Our job is what? We pray that they do repent. Right? You shouldn't want none of your brothers or your sisters to die. But at the same time, you get you deal with this truth long enough, you'll catch the spirit like me, or you lie, right? You gonna get it or you ain't. And if you ain't gonna get it, then hey, Most High, off with their head.
As it is written, 2/3.
2/3 has got to die. Absolutely. Most High said it himself. You know what I'm saying? Paul said it through the Most High Spirit. He wished that all Israel could be saved. But you know, it is what it is. 2/3 gonna die. 2/3 is gonna die because 2/3 ain't gonna get it. And you're gonna have some of the 2/3 gonna be brothers in Israel, but they grievous about, you know, doing the works of the Most High or the feast days. Like if somebody through Tabernacles was pissed off, like I don't want to be here, I don't want to do Tabernacles. Somebody that was upset, man, I don't feel like taking up the goddamn tent, but right. Say, all righty. So one of the things that I realized throughout the feast. First of all, y'all should give yourselves a hand. Y'all did damn good, especially y'all first time Tabernacles. Get them a hand. Give them a hand. Glory to the Father. All right. Well, you know, preparation is key next time, right? Now you know what to expect. All right. But it's grievous to some people. Like they hate having they hate the feast days. You know what I'm saying? They don't hate the food part of it, but they hate everything else. So now, and the way you know it, because you got people now teaching that we're not to keep feast days in captivity. You can't keep feast days if you ain't in Jerusalem. Okay. What precept will prove that's a lie? what precept gonna tell us that we're supposed to rehearse the righteous acts? Mm-hmm. That's right. Let's get it. You don't raise your hand. That's what. Judges chapter 5, verse 11.
Judges chapter 5 and verse 11.
And I'm not gonna hold this class long. We just gonna touch what we get up out of here.
They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing water.
Right, from the noise of archers, meaning you hope to be spared from the bombs that's going to hit. And the places of drawing water means in your lands of captivity. Come on.
There shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord.
There we shall rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord. Righteous acts of the Lord. Meaning our righteousness is the commandments, and the acts is the performance thereof, which equals laws. All right. So even in our lands of captivity, we must practice the righteous acts, keeping the holy convocations, the feast days. It's not about the fact that you're not in Jerusalem, because then we wouldn't have to do it in our lands of captivity. All right. Watch. And just to get two examples of our forefathers keeping the commandments in captivity, you want me to call it, or just want to go somewhere? All right. Well, since you already opened the pocket, we'll go to 1 Ezra 5:51. 1 Ezra 5:51. You probably could start at 50. I ain't looking at it, so.
1 Ezra chapter 5 and verse 50. And there were gathered unto them out of the other nations of the land, and they erected the altar upon its own place, because all the nations of the land were at enmity with them and oppressed them, and they offered sacrifices according to the time and burnt offering to the Lord both morning and evening. Also, they held the feast of tabernacles, as it is commanded in the law.
As it is commanded in the law.
And offered sacrifices daily as was meet.
Right, because as when it says offer sacrifices daily as is meat, meaning this is meet. Meaning good. Meaning good. All right. No, we can start right there. I just wanted to show that they was keeping it because that was in the land of captivity.
Mhm.
Now go to Christ's account. St. John chapter 7. Get verse 1 and 2, and then we're going to jump. So we see that we kept the feast days. We got a scripture in Judges telling us to rehearse the righteous acts in our land of captivities. Then we will go to Esdras and see that they was keeping the feast day in their land of captivity. Now let's get Christ's account. When Christ was walking, what captivity were we in? Roman, right? All right, let's get it. Give me verse 1 and 2.
St. John chapter 7 and verse 1. After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry, because the Jews sought to kill him. Now the Jews' feast of Tabernacles was at hand.
Jump to verse 8.
Verse 8.
So the tabernacles was at hand. All right, let's see did Christ keep it in Rome. I mean, keep the feast day even though he was in the captivity of Rome.
Go ye up unto this feast. I go not up yet unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come.
Uh-huh.
When he had said these words unto them, he abode still in Galilee. But when his brethren were gone up, then went he also up unto the feast, not openly, but as it were in secret.
Right. So Christ snuck in to keep tabernacles. Why? Right, which was explained in verse 2, right? All right. Oh, verse 1?
Yeah.
Okay. So Christ kept the Feast of Tabernacles. So who the hell are these Negroites that's telling people not to keep the feast days? Negroites. Now, I want to show y'all something. Have y'all ever thought about it? Now, read verse 7 real quick. I'm gonna show y'all something. This is just something that hit my mind when I was thinking about it earlier.
The world cannot hate you, but the world cannot hate you, but it. I'm sorry. The world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it that the works thereof are evil.
Right. So now, why do Christians always say the Jews rejected Christ, but then Christ just said that the world hate him? They exclude themselves from that, but all of a sudden, when he died, his blood was for everybody. They exclude that the world hate Christ. It's just the Jews rejected him.
Right.
I was thinking myself, man. Okay. Christianity. Okay, Christianity. Now I want to include themselves in hating Christ. But they show they hate Christ every day just by refusing to keep the commandments. So now, we went to two different places to show even in the lands of captivity, we kept the feast days. Because the script says that the feast days will be a statute forever through generations, right? Precept. Leviticus go to just to show that how long will we keep these feast days? Do we keep them forever? Let's go to Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23, verse 39, or Leviticus 23, 39.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 39. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days.
Which one? What verse is that?
39.
Go ahead.
On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. And ye shall take you on the first day.
That's it on 39, right?
Yeah.
Jump down to 42.
Okay. Verse 42. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelite born shall dwell in booths. That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths.
He said that your generations So that's letting you know that as long as we are generating on that seventh month on the 15th day, for 7 days we're supposed to sleep in tents. That's forever. That doesn't stop as long as we're generating. All right. Last time I checked, they still creating babies today. Verse 43 and 40. Or what verse did you stop at?
43.
All right. Read all the way out through 44.
That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths, when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of the Lord.
Right. So now, why did we sleep in booths? Ari. All right. You was real low. Just didn't catch nothing you said. So now let's put it like this. Yeah, we slept in the tents to celebrate Tabernacle. But why did our forefathers in the wilderness sleep in tents or booths? I'll give you a hint. What was supposed to be over us? Right. Right. That's right. So we slept in tents. The easiest way to say it is because you had to be able to break down your house fast and move. Because you had to follow that cloud. If the cloud moved, we moved. When the cloud stopped, we stopped. All right. So now, so we will be keeping these feast days forever through captivity, even in the kingdom. Precept. Right. Start at 21. So we will keep these feast days forever, even through captivity and even in the kingdom. And we're going into the precept to prove that. Are we going to read it?
Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 21. And I will also take of them for priests, and for Levites, saith the Lord. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord.
All right, from one new moon to another, to one Sabbath to another. We know that a new moon is a Sabbath, but we also know that from one Sabbath to another equals other Sabbaths. All flesh shall do what?
Worship before me, saith the Lord.
Come on.
And they shall go forth and look upon the conquerors of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worms shall not die, neither shall the fire be quenched.
Right, now read the part where it says new earth, new heaven again.
Whereas the new heaven and the new earth which I will make shall remain before me, saith the Lord.
Right, so that lets you know that here we're going to do it, and then when the new heaven and new earth is created, we're going to do it there too. So we'll be keeping these feast days forever. And in the kingdom, these feast days will be glorious. The feast days will be glorious before the world, like how they got Christmas, Thanksgiving. Those days are made glorious before the world today. It's wickedness to us because we know the truth. But in the kingdom, Tabernacles, Passover, Pentecost, all those days are going to be glorious before the world. Those are going to be the days where you have to cut off labor. There will be no businesses open. and it won't be no such thing as getting a holiday pay because everybody will not work on that day. It will be no work accepted on that day. Now you may have some replacement days, probably like Esther, the day of Simon. Those type of remembrance days will probably be the days that replace stuff like Martin Luther King Day. You know what I'm saying? St. Patrick. You know, days that they just tell you to remember, but you know they don't give you the day off of that. That's what days like Esther and Simon and stuff will be. You know, Purim and stuff. But the big days, the new moons, the Lord Sabbath, the Pentecost, the Tabernacles, Passover, all those types of days like that. Them days gonna be ain't no business. And that time, if you get caught doing labors, you might be put to death, most likely. All right. Because everybody will have to serve under our laws, under our Most High. And when it's a Sabbath, there's no work. If it's a Sabbath day, there's no work. Is there a precept to prove that? Even the enemies amongst us will have to, or even our servants will do no work on those days. Precept.
Exodus 20. Exodus 20. Verse 10.
All right, start at 8.
Exodus 20 and verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work.
Right, so this is talking about the Lord's Sabbath right here. Come on.
But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gate.
Nor the stranger that is within thy gate. Come on.
For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that's in them. All in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
Right. So now, a lot of people will say, "Well, man, that's talking about the Lord's Sabbath." We understand that. Don't think we slow in one nation. We understand that's talking about the Lord's Sabbath, but we also know that the feast days are Sabbaths as well. And when you go to Leviticus, they tell you what? Do no servile work. So guess what? That means on those feast days, we will not be working. And if we not working, if it's not okay for us to work, if you got servants, you're not doing no work anyways. So when it says no work, who do you think is not going to be working? That'll be the day that they're going to observe our laws. All right. So on those days, nor the stranger that's in thy gate, within thy gate, all business and works will be closed for Sabbaths and high holy days. The scripture tells us that anyone who defiles the Sabbath shall what?
God, be put to death.
Exactly. We will follow all. We will be all under one. Basically, we will all be under one law, one order, and on one accord, as is the Most High, Christ, and the angels. So we shall be actually. We're gonna be on one scale. When I say one, we're gonna be under one order, one law, one accord. But one order, one accord, as it is in heaven, precept. Precept. What's the precept? Let us know.
Could you say that again?
We're gonna be. I'm phrasing it and I'm asking. So it's like this. If I say it, you're gonna get it. As it is in heaven. All right. We're gonna be on one accord. Right. Mm-hmm. We're gonna be on one accord. We're gonna be keeping the feast days. We're gonna be keeping the laws in the kingdom. Everybody's gonna be keeping that same feast day at the same time. It's gonna be on one accord. As the Most High, Christ and the angels are in heaven. We will practice that same thing here on earth. One time. Precepts. Or precept lets us know that. I know some of y'all overthinking it because I know y'all overthinking it. It's after this manner, pray.
Matthew chapter 6
Right.
and verse 9.
Start at 9. Matthew chapter 6 and start at 9.
Matthew chapter 6 and verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
holy be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Come on.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done
In earth
as
it is in heaven.
Bingo. Thy will be done as it is in earth as it is in heaven. So it's letting you know we're gonna be on one accord. As they keep the feast days and things and such in the kingdom of heaven, so shall it be done on earth. At that time, remember, Christ said we see through the window darkly, but when he comes, he's going to teach us all things face to face. So he's going to put everybody on one accord then. Our time will be lined up. So when the feast days are here, it won't be nobody 2 or 3 days off. No, that means you messed up. Christ comes, he's going to set everything in order, and that way, guess what? We all going to be running on the same clock. So when we in the midst of the feast day, it's the feast day there too. All right? And that will bring reverence and glory to our Father in the Most High and his Son Christ, who the world so inwardly calls Jesus. So when you think about the feast day, man, what I'm gonna say, this was a good Tabernacles. It was good. Like I kind of, I might have had a little bit too much fun at one point. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Dude, only thing I said, man, if we could have just, if captivity didn't get in the midst of it, everything would have been perfect. Because we did have that one night where we could have turned to max, man. Right. And we got to see Solomon do the slip and slide special. Right. So it's a feast day. We ain't gonna hold y'all long. Lord's will we be able to see Tabernacles next year and be able to do it even bigger. The mission is to bring in more spirits, and from this point on, after the Day of Atonement, which we went through. It's time to see how much more can we do. And by this time next year, you want to see your sin list shrinking. So with this glorious convocation, man, and this glorious thing, I just want to say, thank y'all for making this feast day what it do. Being amongst my brethren and my sisterins, and it was fun. It was good. So that's why the Most High tells us, I'm gonna read Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24. So it's Hebrews 10 and 24. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, and not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching. For if we sin willfully after we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sin. So we should not forsake the assembling of ourselves together. We find ways not to be at the feast days. It's grievous to you to be at the feast days. It's grievous for you to communicate with your brothers and stuff, your sister, and then you just find reasons not to come because you don't feel like it. Most I'm gonna put you to death behind that. Put you to death behind that. There's no sacrifice for those types of sins. All right. All of us, we basically jumped straight off the plantation and ran to the campsite to convocate and keep it. That's a righteous deed. Setting up tents in the dark, you know what I'm saying? We fighting the ants, taking the mosquito bites, whatever the case had to come and be with. We was with it. So, but we enjoyed it. We had a. I'm gonna tell you, I had more fun than anything. I enjoyed the feast. Oh yeah. I would take a couple more bites if I did it the whole time. Right. So, Romans 12:1. Romans 12:1. And we'll stop it here.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God.
Right.
Which is your reasonable service.
Most High says, I beseech you, therefore, that you, by the mercy of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto the Lord. Right. That's what this whole walk is pretty much based on. How much are you willing to sacrifice for the Most High? How much are you willing to give? How much are you willing to take? And we die daily. We die daily that we don't have to die the second death. Brother asked me, what is that talking about earlier about the second death? Well, the first death is when you came into this truth. When you came into this truth and that old man died. Now, if you came into this truth and you still doing the old man ways, you haven't let go of it, the old man never died. Basically, or you could have came into the truth and you started living right, but then in the midst of it, you stopped sacrificing yourself. And that old man came back. So now the second death, the bonfire is coming. And that's the eternal death. So now, it's your reasonable service to sacrifice yourself. What's the whole reason you were put on the face of this earth? The whole duty of man is to do what?
Keep the laws and commandments.
Keep the laws and commandments. With that, I pray y'all enjoy Tabernacles. We finna feast and close it out. Shalom.
Shalom.